Hello planning mashers and welcome to today's video. Now the year is coming to an end and it's time to actually start reviewing what happened in 2019. So today I want to talk about the one page that helps you with that, and this is a yearly review page. First of all, I do have a set of questions and categories which I go through when I create a yearly review. I actually have a blog post where I go through all the possible questions, and some of them I used in this setup, some of them I didn't, but I thought it might be useful for you so you can choose what is it you want to review and include on this page. So if you want to check that out, the link will be in the description. Now, I started obviously from the middle. I just wrote a year and there are letters yearly review underneath it. I just kind of forgot to pen them when I was writing the year. So the first thing I do when I do my yearly review is go through all of my pictures on my phone and just trying to remember all the memorable moments I had during the year. And as you can see, that ended up to be a pretty big list. It's not necessarily just certain memorable events, it's also just little things I remembered, little experiences and things like that. Next thing I am doing is writing down the one word that would characterize my 2019. For me personally, this word is change, because this year has been crazy. I started it living in China. I had no job. I couldn't find anything for half a year. And I'm not saying I was depressed, but it was like a very difficult time. And so many things changed during the year. Now I'm doing blogging full time. I'm doing what I love. We actually moved to a different country. We're closer to family and friends, and it's been just a lot of crazy changes. So I might be doubtful on other years, but 2019 was definitely a year of the change. Another little box I have there is the list of new skills I learned. I like creating this because it helps me to realize that I am moving forward and I kind of keep improving myself, which is something I think is very, very important. And final thing on this side of the page are the discoveries I made this year. They aren't exactly like adventurous things, travel or stuff like that. These are really just little things, more like life lessons, I would say. Little things that I just realized this year. Some of them might sound pretty stupid, but it's really amazing how some very simple and obvious things take some time to actually sink in your brain. One more thing I really love to add to my yearly review are pictures, and for that I'm using my HP printer. The printing paper on this printer is already a sticker, which is super convenient to add the photos to your journal. And for this spread I decided to go with just 2 pictures because there really was a lot of things that happened this year and I just had a lot of writing to do. On the other side, I have some other categories I wanted to write down about the year. First are personal changes I made to myself. And I actually included something pretty interesting here. It's the first time me doing this, but I added some big questions I asked myself this year. I feel like it's really showing in which direction I was moving and kind of shows my personal development. It's more like existential thing on like 3 things that have been on your mind and you've been working on, or things like that. At least that's how I see this. Then there is some space for just fun things like favorite books and favorite movies. I figured that it's pretty difficult for me to remember what books I read and what movies I watched during the year. So I think I'll have to come up with some certain system to track this better in 2020. Next is a section for the things I did for my goals. This is obviously very important, and I think it's the most impactful part of the yearly review for me, at least personally, because I always find myself feeling like maybe I haven't done enough, maybe I haven't achieved enough. But when you actually review it, it's just amazing how many things you actually did. And the final section is what I call EST this year. It can be best memories, it can be funniest moments, I don't know, anything that was extraordinary. There are plenty of things in this category, and again, you can check the blog post for more questions, but I chose just a few here. What was the funniest moment, the most touching time we had, the most surprising thing I experienced this year, and just the biggest change or the most impactful experience I had. It's pretty difficult to fit the whole year in just 2 spreads, and I do have many more things you could include. So if you don't want to add any doodles and you want it to be more, let's say, businessy, you of course can do it and fill it out with tons of other memories and important data for your year. But for me, that was pretty much it. I feel like it gives a good overview of my whole year. Yearly reviews are very important. They help you to reflect on what happened, to make better plans for the future and the upcoming year. So I really recommend you to create this spread, and it's also going to be a very nice thing to look back at and remember all the wonderful things that happened to you that year. I would love to see your review pages, so be sure to tag me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep bullet journaling and don't be a blob. Bye!